Welcome to the Vegan Pulse. I am your host, Nancy Arenas. Today, my guest is Gwenna Hunter. Gwenna is a vegan, an animal, and human rights activist. She finds herself at the intersection of two liberation movements in the U.S., specifically in Los Angeles: the liberation and empowerment of Black lives and helping others to include all sentient creatures within their circle of empathy, primarily through the elimination of animal products from their diets. Gwenna's primary goal through this work is to help more people discover veganism, particularly those in underserved communities. Stick around. I want to introduce her to you. Hi, Gwenna. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very good. Thank you. And especially because I have you on the show. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Begin with your journey into veganism.
So I would say my journey, I didn't know I was on the journey, first of all. It just ended up, I'm like, oh God, I've been on this journey for a long time, was getting the nudges and the little bumps and pushes and wasn't picking up the message. But in 2008, I went vegetarian. Nothing to do with animals, nothing to do with the planet or anything like that. I had just come off of a Daniel's fast, which is from the Bible, and it's when you abstain from animal products. And the purpose of that for me was to just manifest more and be more in my power. And I noticed how amazing I felt afterwards. I was like, I haven't felt this good ever. Like, I felt so good. But because of my programming of veganism, I'm like, well, I don't need to like not have, cheese and milk. Like, that's just, they're being extreme. I'm like, I can just, incorporate that, but I won't eat any more, flesh. And I was on that journey for about 8 years. And again, I saw like little undercover videos and things like that, but nothing that penetrated me and made me think twice about animals being sentient or conscious. So fast forward to February of 2016, I'm now living in Los Angeles, and I have this dream that changed the whole trajectory of my entire life. So in the dream, I'm flying in the sky and I see this really beautiful cow in a beautiful green pasture. Everything was beautiful in the dream. And she looked up at me like she knew me or was like waiting for me. And when we looked at each other, and there was some type of energy that was between our eyes, and it caused me, I don't know about her, but it caused me to possess her consciousness. So we merged and became one, and I was the cow. And her life basically like flashed before me. I was her. I'd given birth, children, mating, humans, eating, community. Like, I felt everything as the cow. And when I woke up from the dream, I was very emotional and I was crying because I was like, oh my God, cow's love. And her love felt so pure. It felt more pure than a human's love. Like, it was so beautiful. And I'm like, oh my God, did this just really happen? Was this a real dream? Did I eat something weird last night? And I'm a believer like that, but I just had to be a skeptic for a few minutes. And I'm like, if, I believe that I said it because I do like to say, show me a sign if this happened. And as I'm laying there awake in the bed, I literally felt this warm feeling over my chest, like right above my heart. And I look and I didn't see anything, but I could feel the warmth specifically in this area. So I put my hand there. And when I touched it, I was like paralyzed with complete peace. Like, I felt, and using the word peace is a weak word, but it's the only word in the human language that I can even come close to describing what it felt like. It was warm. It was light. It was unconditional. It was quiet. It was still. Like there were no problems in this warmth. Like there was nothing to worry about. There was nothing to be concerned with. Like it was a feeling of just complete peace and perfection. And if I would have been given the opportunity, I would have checked off of this planet and went there, wherever that light came from, because it felt so good. And so when I came out of that, it probably lasted a few seconds, maybe. Um, I realized that what I experienced was true and was real. And so I'm like, I got to tell the world about this, like who's going to believe me, first of all. And synchronistically, within a few days, I ended up coming across the video by Jaron Annis called Darius Effing Scary. And when I saw that, I couldn't believe my eyes. I didn't know that cows were treated this way. I didn't know they were pregnant for 9 months, just like a human woman. I didn't know that when she gives birth to her son, I didn't make the connection that he's veal and this is someone's son. I hadn't made the connection that when her child is taken, she's mourning. She goes after her child. So I'm looking at all of this and I'm seeing her as a woman, not as like, oh, this poor cow. I'm like, this woman, because I'm seeing rape, kidnap, murder, torture, slavery. Like I'm seeing everything very clear, no blurry lines. Like I saw the blueprint for evil. And it was just, I was like, I can't believe I ever participated in this. And I'm like, now I get why vegans are vegan. I'm like, I get it now because I hadn't seen it in the 8 years I was vegetarian, never came across anything like that. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to just start showing slaughter videos on my Facebook page. And when people see this, they're going to stop eating, animals and stop eating cows. And of course, that's not how it works, but
that's sad. That's not how it works.
Yeah, but I went through a rage for about 3 or 4 months because I kept learning so much more information. I kept seeing, I started learning about pigs and all these animals. I'm like, these animals are conscious, and I never even knew it or even thought about it. So I was a little mad at myself for taking so long to figure it out. And then I was mad at this system because I'm like, they've been programming us to not have these feelings and emotions. And I'm like, who's in charge here? Who's creating these messages and these programmings that are causing us to be so heartless? So yeah, for about 3-4 months, I was in a rage.
Wow. Yeah. And I can empathize with that because I was vegetarian. I didn't really make the connection. Then somebody talked about the animals, which I had not ever thought about. Yeah. Like you said, and so I made the connection, and then I said, I can't do this. But you ask who's in charge, not the right people. That's who's in charge.
Exactly.
Not the right people.
That's right.
Wow, what a story, especially that you started as a fast from a Bible verse or some content in the Bible just because you wanted to kind of clear yourself. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it was like, it just catapulted you into this stillness, this peace that made you understand the truth. I think that's very powerful. It's awesome.
Yeah. And like I said, it changed my life. All the other nudges and, I'd had a couple of supernatural experiences about eating meat prior to that. And it was causing me to like look at things a little differently, but it didn't do what that dream did. That dream, I was like wide awake. I was like, I see with my eyes, I feel with my heart, I got it.
And it's like you said, little nudges. When you said that, I just thought here for a second, and because I've been thinking about this the last couple of days, like, throughout my life, I think I've seen these little, what you call nudges. Yeah. Like when I used to cook, before I was vegan, when I used to cook food and have the flesh in front of me, and I would like be going, oh, this is gross. Like when you're cutting into the flesh and you find this, and I would be going, this is gross. And I remember having these terrible feelings about the flesh in front of me and what I was doing. And it wasn't ever pleasant. So again, like little nudges, like your consciousness was trying to tell you this is not right.
Yeah. I think one of my first memories of a nudge was I was at the supermarket, and I was getting ready to buy a whole chicken. And I'm looking at the chicken, and all of a sudden I'm like, this chicken looks like a white baby. This looks like a headless baby. And I'm looking at it, and I'm just looking. I'm like, I see the the arms and the legs and the feet without a head. And I felt nauseous, and I put it back. I'm like, I can't I can't buy this. I felt that. And I don't know if I think I still continue to eat chicken, but I just didn't buy a whole chicken ever again so that I wouldn't feel that connection. But it was like it grossed me out, and that was the first time I was like, what is happening right now?
And that's what I'm saying. When I was preparing food, I would get grossed out because you come across the veins and you come across the muscle or whatever,
Yes.
and I remember, not that I thought about it back then, except this is just what we do because this is what we're conditioned to. But I remember distinctly like making those faces and going, "This is really gross," and
Yes.
and stuff like that. So I think we know it deep down inside, and the conditioning is so instilled in us because it's been there for so many years that it's horrible. It's horrible.
I know, because it's passed down, it's in our genes, and in the womb we're getting the meat and the milk, and then we come out and we see the pictures of the happy pigs and the happy cows that we're eating, and we're eating chicken nuggets and not, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, whoever designed this on the evil tip, they were genius because they knew exactly how to program nearly everybody on this planet to do this.
And that's exactly what the animal agriculture, dairy industry, and all those industries do, is have researchers who say, what is going to appeal to the eye of this individual and this individual and to the kids? Let's make it orange for the kids. Let's make it this way for these
Mhm.
individuals so that you get attracted to it, but they're really
Yes.
lying to you.
Yes.
It's horrible.
100%. Yep.
Now let's talk about you're a not only are you a vegan, but you're a human and animal activist,
Yes.
human rights and animal rights activist.
Yes. Yes. So one, I don't know how to word this, but it's when I think about like human rights and even having to be an activist, it is so barbaric to me and ridiculous. I have a problem celebrating rights when rights are given, for protection or for any purpose, because it's when another human being is granting you your rights. Who are you to be granting me rights? So I don't celebrate these things because to me it keeps the mindset that we need to ask someone for rights and fight for rights in place. It's ridiculous that okay, now you're allowed to marry someone of the same sex. Now you're allowed to marry someone of a different color or different race. Now you can now do this, or now you can wear your hair. It's like what? It's it's so barbaric and so ridiculous to me. So anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But when I first became a part of the movement, um, one of the things that I found to be a little bit shocking was that any conversation where it intersected humans was like kind of shunned. People are like, oh, it's just about the animals, and if everybody goes vegan, we'll have a great planet. And it's like, no, if animals become liberated and humans are not, it's still a shit planet. It's still, everybody has to be liberated. It's interlocked. Like you can't do one and not do the other and then think that everything is going to be all roses. It's a collaboration. It has to encompass planetary unity, planetary liberation, not just for one species. So for me, it's very important that one, as vegans, because I've seen this throughout the years, that we have hope for our human race and not always saying, oh, I wish humans would leave the planet or would die. Like you hear that so much, and I get it, because if you focus so much on the negative stuff, it can really have an impact on how you perceive our reality. But there's so much good going on the planet. There's so many wonderful people. There's so many healers. There's so many helpers. There's so many loving people that are helping change the world and making it better. So for me, I choose to focus on that. And that gives me hope for the planet. That makes me feel like we can do this in our lifetime. We can have unity in our lifetime. So I don't know if I answered the question.
No, that is it. And I totally agree with you. I think that we can do this in our lifetime. And that's why that saying, oppression for one is oppression for all, because people think, oh, they just got this right. Yeah. We're still not there. We're not even close. And
Yeah.
for me, it always is a little depressing because, I'm a 70s hippies child and, love, not war, and peace and ecology and all that stuff. And at one time I was thinking, what happened to us? Why didn't we like get further? And one of the things that I came to realize is that people gave up.
Yeah.
Especially this was during the Nixon era, and people, the hippies, just like, oh, they just threw up their hands and walked away. I mean, this is not how it goes. I mean,
That's
we
right.
have to be in it, stay in it. It's talking, it's, communicating with each other. It's about understanding each other. It's about realizing that we don't have to all be cookie cutters.
Yeah.
We just need to respect each other, and we need to work towards compassion for all.
That's right. That's right. And it's not, that hard to do, because when you think of like planetary unity, you're like, oh God, that's too much. I'm not doing all that. But all it is starting with you. Like if everybody took personal responsibility for their own unity and uniting with the people in their lives that are closest to them, we'd be there. It doesn't mean that you have to go out and go to the art store and get some signs and then go down and march for 5 miles and get a bullhorn and all that. Cause like, that's what I used to think. And I'm like, I'm not doing all that. But it's just starting with yourself. Like, working on yourself and becoming a more kinder person to yourself, which isn't to me a quick fix. It's constant work, and it's something you need to do throughout your entire life. But if the kinder you are with yourself, the kinder you are with the people around you, the kinder you are with the animals in your life. My little kitty cat, she's right behind me, wanting to be picked up. But yeah, it starts with you. Just worry about that for right now. Just focus on yourself.
And my rule of thumb is this: daily, I will not do to somebody else what I wouldn't want done to me. If we start right there, that's a great beginning.
That's right.
I mean, whether human or non-human, if you just live by that credo, where nothing that you would want done to you, your family, your mother, your sister, your brother, you don't do it to anybody else.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I mean, you can't get any more simpler than that, treat them. But that's why I say you got to work on yourself, because when you think of treating people the way you want to be treated, a lot of us have so much, especially in the animal rights community. I've just noticed a pattern. I don't know the percentage or how factual this is, but just based on what I've witnessed, a lot of animal rights activists have a lot of trauma in their lives and have dealt with either, emotional, physical, or some type of abuse. And so we take that energy and then we channel it into the movement without actually working on that trauma ourselves. Because I've seen vegans that were angry when I first started and they're still angry, now. And it's like, oh, that's a long time. I'm not saying bypass your emotions, but you don't want to live in anger all the time. You want to come up for some air and see the sunlight and see the beauty and see the progress that's been made, because we've made a ton of progress since 2016. I remember, like, if somebody came out with like a new vegan meat, like it would go viral. Like everybody would be talking about it. Or a cheese or anything vegan, or if there was a potluck, everybody would want to attend, because it was just like, the advancements weren't there. But now the technology, the advancements, the textures, the flavors, and just the extra work that's being done with activists, people focusing on the environment, rescue. Like
I
it's amazing.
exactly they are, and and history is an educator.
Yes,
But like you said, we shouldn't take our history, the anger in our history, and bring it up and have it like our shield. It should be
yeah,
more like a educator, a thing that prompts us to know better, do better, and understand better.
yes, exactly. I completely agree with that.
Because if I held a grudge from 30 years ago, let's say I had a grudge against you for 30 years and I still had it. And every time I saw it, that doesn't do anything. Now, you and I had some kind of problem. Then we talked about it. It's history, it's done. And we moved on. And we both kind of got a little higher on the stand of
Yes,
evolution because
yes,
we were able to get past that.
exactly. And the grudge and the anger, it really, unless you're someone that is motivated by anger and it fuels you into action. I know for me, it can cause depression. So I have to be very careful of being in that place of anger too long. Um, it's not creating a solution. You know what I mean? And if you're holding a grudge against somebody, you're hurting yourself because grudges, it goes inside the body and it materializes into other illnesses. So yeah, you got to learn how to feel that pain, but also move forward and keep going up into the light as far as you possibly can.
Right. And to remember that, Big Bang Theory, right? One Big Bang. So we all came from one place. We're all brothers and sisters,
Yes.
whether you're
Yes.
human or non-human, whether your race, your religion, it doesn't matter. We all came from one place. We're all family.
Yes. I that is my motto. It is that we're all on this, we're first of all, we're in space. Like I always like to remind people, like space isn't out there. We're in space,
Good one.
traveling, and we're on this little ship. I think it's a ship. It just looks like nature. We're on this ship together. You could be on another planet, but you're on this one, and so it's like when we wake up and remember, because I believe it's in all of us that we know innately that we're brothers and sisters, and that we're good stewards of this planet, and that we are a loving species, we are a caring species. When we come out of the illusion of all this other stuff, we'll remember and get it together.
Exactly. Now, you have a Facebook page called Vegans of LA,
Yes.
and you also have a vegan food pantry. Yes?
Yes. Yes.
That
It's
is
the
so awesome. But before we talk about that, I just want to commend you on the logo for your Vegans of LA because I think it is just beautiful. It really
Thank
is.
you. Thank you
Um,
so much. I was so happy that um, the artist was able to bring it to life, because like I was telling you earlier, I had people that were like, "No, you want too much. You want five, six people in the logo. You want animals in it. You want, color clothes and a certain design." They're like, "No, that's just too much for a logo." So luckily I found somebody that was up for the challenge, and she made it happen.
it is beautiful. It is a work of art. And I encourage anyone and everyone to check out Vegans of LA, especially to look at that logo.
Thank you.
But talk to us about the vegan food pantry. How's that going?
Yeah, so the Vegans of LA Food Bank, it's the first brick and mortar food bank in Los Angeles. And we also believe, because we can't find the evidence that this is not true, but we also believe that I'm the first Black woman to have a vegan food bank in the country. So if there's somebody else out there, let us know. But we've been researching and we can't find the evidence of another Black woman having a all vegan food bank. That came together as synchronicity. Ended up meeting with someone that was doing a vegan food program at USC, and they were looking for referrals for chefs, and we started talking. And I was already working on the food bank, but I didn't have a location, and I kept coming up with all these things I had to pay for, like, warehouse, storage, refrigerators, freezers, you need a truck. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford this. And this is like turning into more than what I thought. But I felt it strong in my heart that this is something I was supposed to do. So I just gave it up to the universe one day. And I'm like, this is becoming overwhelming, trying to figure this out. I need this to manifest and fall right into my lap. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I can't, I have to take a break from this because it's like making me crazy. So I'm meeting with him, Pastor Sonny King, and we're talking, and he's like, yeah, I have a food bank. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, it was just like, oh, he's got a food bank. And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to create a food bank myself, but all vegan. And he's like, why don't we just partner and you just take over a part of the food bank, at a certain time, and it's all yours. And yeah, and he's like, I have a warehouse, I have freezers, I have refrigerators, I have trucks, I have a team. Like, it was the most turnkey situation that I could have ever asked for, because there's a lot of work that goes into having a vegan food bank. It's not just, you get the food and the people show up. There's a health department, there's systems that you have to register with, you have to get grants, you have to have a certain amount of money, you got to have people in place that's going to go pick up the deliveries, you got to have a truck, you got to have all these other equipments that make it all possible. So I've been learning so much, and it's been such a great experience and a beautiful collaboration.
Thank you for what you're doing there. That is so awesome that it's a vegan pantry. Kudos to you. And, sometimes you just have to give it up to the universe.
Yes, like I had to, because if I would have stayed on the course that I was on, I would have probably felt obligated to make a decision that would not have worked out. Or I would have been like, you know what, this isn't for me. This is too much. But the universe worked it out to where it literally fell into my lap. Like, I didn't have to find this person. Someone connected us, and, we met for lunch, and I felt something about him. I said, there's something special about this man. I don't know what it is, but I could feel it before we even saw each other. And yeah, it ended up working out beautifully. Like, because you don't know who the movers and shakers are. You don't know who has what, who has the type of heart that you need to be around. And so the universe had that all figured out for me. I just had to send out the SOS to bring it to me.
Awesome. So, Gwenna, any other words you'd like to share with our viewers before we close the interview?
Yeah, I just would like to say that let's work on uniting within ourselves, but also like try to be as intentional as possible. And like I said, it's not a quick fix where you do it once and do it twice. It's automatic. It's constant work being compassionate. It's constant work choosing to be kind. It's constant work choosing to have a mind of unity. So try to focus as much as you can. Like, one thing I like to tell people, if they don't want to be an activist or go out or volunteer, they just want to stay in their house, but what can they do in addition to like giving money and things like that? Visualization is such an incredibly powerful and scientific tool. So I like to tell people to visualize the type of world that you want to live in. And for most of us, we're going to agree that that's a world of compassion, that's a world of beauty, that's a world of equality, that's a world of just a beautiful world of abundance. And visualize that. And maybe you can only hold the vision for 1 second. You can't hold it too long because you're used to seeing something else. But the more you practice, the longer you can hold the visualization, the more you can see it. The brain doesn't know the difference between what you're thinking and what is actually happening. So the more that your brain captures these photos of this ideal life, ideal world, or whatever it is that you're trying to manifest in your life, the more it can help bring it into materialization. So think about the type of world that you want, hold on to that, and feel how good it feels to live there, how good it feels to have a world where there's no violence, where it's just pure safety and fresh air and fresh water and everything's organic, you know?
Right. Right.
So just use visualization as much as you can if you know your time and resources are limited.
And giving compassion to one doesn't take away from the compassion from you. So, you know,
No, it doesn't. It gives. It
it's not
gives.
it's not a slice of pie, right?
Yeah. Somebody wants to make a little debut.
Oh,
You want to say hi?
how cute. Hi. Oh, look at that. Hi, baby.
She's she
What's
likes
her
to
or
get a
his
little bit
name?
of her name is China. She's
China. You're
she's very
beautiful.
affectionate and likes to get her little attention when she wants her attention. Say
Well,
hi, everybody.
thank you very much, Gwenna, for being on the show. And
Thanks
China,
for
thanks for
having
your cameo.
me.
Take care. Bye bye. Thank you for joining us on another Vegan Pulse. I am your host, Nancy Arenas. Remember, check out our website, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have a pulse, you have a purpose. Live vegan.